The shuttle docked at Academy Station Horizon 7 with a soft hum, stood near the window, watching the massive structure grow larger as they approached. It was beautiful in a cold way. Metal and glass stretched across the darkness of space like a city floating among the stars. She was 19 years old, small for a human. Her dark hair was tied back in a simple ponytail, and she wore the standard uniform of a new cadet. Around her, other species chattered in excitement. Tall clicked their mandibles. Massive reptilian rumbled deep laughs. Small furry yipped to each other in their pack language. None of them talked to her. That was fine, was used to being alone. When the doors opened, she picked up her single bag and walked into the station. The air was different here, recycled, clean in a way that felt wrong to someone who grew up breathing ocean wind in. She missed the smell of salt and fish. She missed the sound of waves. But Earth was far away now. 2 months of travel through the dark between stars. She would not see home again for 3 years. The orientation hall was enormous. 400 new cadets gathered in rows, organized by species, found the human section easily. There were only 3 of them. She stood next to a tall young man with kind eyes and a girl with short hair who looked nervous. The tall one leaned toward her. He said quietly, 3rd year. They asked me to help the new humans adjust. She replied, "First time off Earth." She nodded, smiled, but there was something serious behind it. "Watch yourself here. They don't understand us. They think because we're small and soft, we're weak." He paused. "Don't correct them unless you have to." Looked at him, "And if I have to?" Before he could answer, the orientation began. Instructor stood at the front of the hall. He was tall and thin, with 4 arms and compound eyes that seemed to look everywhere at once. His voice was sharp and carried easily across the room. "Welcome to Horizon 7, he said. "You are here because your species chose you. You are the best of your worlds, but here you are all equal. Here you will learn to work together, to fight together, to serve the Confederacy together." Listened carefully. She noticed how his eyes moved across the crowd but never stopped on the humans, like they were not worth measuring. After orientation, she was assigned to Dormitory Block 7. 12 cadets shared the space, 11 aliens and her. The room was simple. 12 beds arranged in a circle around a common area. Chose the bed nearest the door. She always slept near exits. It was a habit from childhood. You learned to be ready. The ocean gave life, but it also took it. Storms came without warning. Creatures crawled up from the deep. You survived by being alert. Her watched her unpack. A named approached first. She was younger than, with softer features and curious eyes. "You are human," said. It was not a question. "Yes." "From Earth, the..." Paused. She had heard this term before. The Confederacy classified planets by danger level. Earth was Category 9, the second highest, a world where everything competed to survive, where the air itself was dangerously rich with oxygen, where the gravity pressed down hard and the weather could kill you in minutes. "It's home," said simply. Tilted her head. "Are you not afraid here, away from your world?" Considered the question. She looked around the dormitory. 11 aliens, some larger than her, some with claws or fangs or armored skin, all of them watching. "No," she said. "Should I be?" Did not answer, but she wrote something on her. The days passed slowly. Attended classes on combat theory, diplomatic protocols, and relations. She was quiet in all of them. She listened more than she spoke. When teachers asked questions, she gave short answers, correct but brief. The other cadets began to form opinions about her. "The human is strange," said one night. "We're tall beings with 4 arms and strict codes of honor. She never reacts. I stood behind her today, made noise. Any normal creature would have turned. She did not." "Maybe humans are deaf," suggested. There were pack hunters with sharp teeth and golden eyes. They moved in groups and valued hierarchy above all. They are not deaf, corrected. Their hearing is adequate, I have read the files. Then why does she not respond? No one had an answer, but heard everything. She simply chose not to react. On Earth, reacting to every threat would exhaust you. There were too many, the wind in the trees, the rustle in the grass, the shadow in the water. You learned to filter, to assess, to wait. She noticed on her third day. There were 5 of them, large reptilian beings with scaled skin and powerful tails. They walked like they owned every space they entered. Other cadets moved aside for them. Even they gave them room. Their leader was named. He was 2.4 meters tall with dark green scales and yellow eyes. His father was a military commander. His family had served the Confederacy for 12 generations. He expected respect. He demanded submission. He noticed in the dining hall. "What is that?" he asked his companions, pointing with a clawed finger. "Human," one answered, from the laughed. The sound was deep and rumbling. "That small thing from a dangerous world." He watched her eat alone at her table. "She looks like prey." "The files say humans are dangerous," another offered. "Files are written by cowards." Eyes narrowed. "Look at her, she does not even raise her head. She knows her place already." But had raised her head just slightly, just enough to see them watching. She memorized their faces, counted them, measured them. Then she returned to her meal. That night found her on the observation deck. Stars spread across the viewport like scattered diamonds. Stood alone, watching. "I have noticed you," he said. "I know. Is trouble. His family is powerful. He's never faced consequences for anything." Nodded slowly. "What do respect?" "Strength, dominance, submission." Paused. "If you fight, you'll lose. There are too many of them and the academy won't help. If you submit, they'll own you for 3 years. And if I do neither." Looked at her. In the starlight, her face was calm, completely calm, like the surface of still water that hid deep currents beneath. "Then things will get interesting," he said quietly. Almost smiled, almost. "Good." The harassment began on the 7th day. Was walking to her morning class when stepped into her path. He did not appear suddenly. He moved slowly, deliberately, placing his massive body directly in front of her. His 4 companions spread out behind him. She stopped. "Little human," said. His voice was low, almost friendly. "You walk through our corridor." Looked up at him. He was more than a meter taller than her. His scales caught the light. His teeth were visible when he smiled. "I am walking to class," she said. "This is space. You should ask permission." Other cadets in the corridor slowed down. They watched from a distance. No one intervened. Considered her options. She could argue, she could submit, she could fight. She chose none of these. "Excuse me," she said politely. Then she walked around him. Blinked. His companions looked confused. In their culture, prey either lowered their heads or ran. This human did neither. She simply walked away like he was furniture. "Did she just ignore me?" asked. "I think so," one of his companions answered. His eyes darkened. This was not over. The incidents continued. Every day they found new ways to test her. They blocked doorways. They sat at her table in the dining hall, taking her food. They stood too close during training exercises, breathing on her neck. Never reacted. She walked around them. She got new food. She moved to different positions, always calm, always quiet, like water flowing past stones. This made furious. "Why doesn't she respond?" he demanded one night. His claws scraped the table. Any creature would show fear by now. Any creature would submit or fight. "Maybe humans are broken," a companion suggested. "Maybe they're damaged them." No, shook his head. "I see her eyes. She is watching. She is aware. She chooses not to react." He stood up. "That is an insult." Meanwhile, had begun her research. The cadet was naturally curious. She studied everything, and humans fascinated her. They came from a world that should have killed them, yet here they were, small, soft, without claws or fangs or armor. How did they survive? She found in the medical wing, was human too, a second-year student training to be a medic. She had calm hands and patient eyes. "Can I ask you questions?" asked, "about your species?" Smiled, "Of course." "They are harassing. Why does she not report them?" Smile faded slightly. "Because reporting would show weakness, and because she doesn't need to." "I do not understand." Set down her medical tools. "Do you know what a persistence predator is?" Searched her memory. "A hunter that exhausts its prey through continuous pursuit." "Yes, on Earth humans would chase animals for hours, days sometimes. We're not the fastest, we're not the strongest, but we don't stop, we never stop." Paused. "Thinks he's the predator here, he's wrong." Felt a chill. "Is hunting them." "No, she's waiting, there's a difference." Picked up her tools again. "On Earth we learned patience. The ocean taught us. The seasons taught us. The predators taught us. You wait for the right moment, then you act." "When will the right moment come?" Shrugged. "When they make a mistake." In combat theory class, instructor discussed threat assessment. "The Confederacy classifies species by danger level," he explained. "Our apex predators, large, strong, fast. In a direct confrontation, few species can match them." The in the class sat taller, smiled with all his teeth. "What about humans?" someone asked. It was. Clicked his mandibles. "Humans are classified as dangerous due to their, but individually they lack natural weapons. No claws, no venom, no armor. Their danger is environmental, not physical." Raised her hand. The class turned to look at her. It was the first time she had spoken voluntarily. "Yes," asked. "What about endurance and pattern recognition?" "Explain." His voice was soft but clear. "Are strong in short bursts, they tire after sustained effort. Humans can maintain activity for hours. Our bodies cool through sweating, which most species cannot do." She paused. "And we recognize patterns, behaviors, weaknesses. Given time, we learn how anything moves, how it thinks, how it fails." The room was quiet. Stared at her. "Are you suggesting humans could threaten apex predators?" "I am suggesting that threat assessment should include more than physical attributes." Laughed loudly. "The little human thinks she is dangerous." His companions joined his laughter. "Perhaps she will chase me to death with her tiny legs." Looked at him, her face showed nothing, but something in her eyes made his laughter fade slightly, just for a moment. "Interesting perspective," said slowly. "But the Confederacy classifications have served us well." Class dismissed. After class walked toward the dormitory. She knew what would happen. She had seen's face. He was angry, he was embarrassed, he would act. The corridor was empty when he appeared. 5 blocking her path, stood in the center, his scales darker than usual. His companions spread out to prevent escape. "You insulted me," he said, "in front of the class, in front of the instructor." "I answered a question," replied. "You made us look like prey." Tilted her head. "Did I?" Stepped forward, his hand reached for her shoulder. Large claws, enough strength to crush bone. But when his hand arrived, she was not there. She had seen his shoulder shift, seen his weight move forward, seen his eyes focus on her collarbone. She knew where his hand would go before he did. She stepped sideways, gentle, smooth, like she was dancing. His hand closed on empty air. The stared, his face twisted in confusion. "What happened?" one asked. Reached again, faster this time, but was already moving. She flowed around him like water around stone. She did not run, she did not attack, she simply was not where he expected her to be. 3 times he grabbed, 3 times he found nothing. "Stop moving," he growled. "No," she said, and then she walked away, past his companions, through the corridor, gone. Stood frozen. His companions were silent. "What is she?" one whispered. His claws dug into his palms. Blood dripped to the floor. He did not notice. "I don't know," he said quietly, "but I'm going to find out." That night he began planning. 5 were not enough. He needed more. He needed to trap her somewhere she could not escape. He needed to break her. He sent messages to allies, 2 who owed him favors, 3 who wanted status. 9 warriors total, enough to surround her, enough to make her react. He set the trap for 3 days later. What he did not know was that had already found the Confederacy's classified files on humans, and what she read there made her mandibles click in fear. The files said many things, about Earth's gravity, about its oxygen, about its weather. But one line stood out, written in red, the highest warning level. Do not engage humans in enclosed spaces. Do not restrict their movement. Do not hunt them. And at the bottom, a note added by a Confederacy researcher who had studied Earth firsthand. They do not fear death. They have lived beside it every day of their existence. When cornered, they do not surrender. They become what their world made them. They become predators. Tried to warn, she found him in the training hall. "Do not do this," she said. "I have read the files. Humans are not what you think." Laughed, worried about a tiny human. "The files are exaggerations, propaganda. I have seen her. She is small and soft and alone. The files say do not corner them." "I am not afraid of files." He walked away. Watched him go. She had tried. She had warned him. In 3 days he would learn the truth. 3 days passed like a held breath. Felt the change in the station. Cadets watched her more carefully now. Conversations stopped when she entered rooms. Even species who had never spoken to her turned their heads as she passed. She knew something was coming. On Earth, animals behaved differently before storms. Birds flew lower. Dogs grew restless. The air itself felt heavy with waiting. Had learned to read these signs as a child in. The ocean taught harsh lessons to those who ignored warnings. She did not ignore them now. Found her in the dormitory on the morning of the 3rd day. This compound eyes showed worry. Her mandibles clicked nervously as she spoke. "They are planning something," said quietly, "and his group, I heard them talking." Continued folding her uniform. "How many?" 9523. 9 considered this. On Earth, facing 9 predators alone meant death. But these were not Earth predators. These were aliens who had never truly fought for survival, who had never been hungry or cold or desperate. "Thank you for telling me," said. Stepped closer. "You should report them. Instructor could stop this." "He would not believe me, and even if he did, his family would protect him." Finished folding. "This needs to end differently." "What will you do?" Finally looked at her. Her dark eyes were calm, too calm, like the ocean before a typhoon. "What I have to." Wanted to argue, wanted to insist, but something in his face stopped her. This was not fear. This was not bravery. This was something older. Something that came from a world where everything was a threat and survival meant being the bigger threat. "I will tell," said, "and the authorities in case." She did not finish the sentence, nodded once. "Wait 10 minutes after I leave tonight, then tell them." The evening cycle began at 1800 hours, ate dinner alone as usual. She watched the dining hall empty slowly. Cadets returned to their dormitories. Study groups formed and dispersed. The station grew quiet. At 1930, she stood and walked toward Recreation Room 4. She knew it was a trap, had chosen the location carefully. It was isolated, far from main corridors. The walls were thick enough to muffle sound, perfect for what he planned. But traps worked both ways. The door opened at her touch. The room was large, tables and chairs pushed to the walls, open space in the center, and standing in that space arranged in a wide circle were 9 figures. 5, their scales gleamed under the artificial lights, stood at the front, his yellow eyes bright with anticipation. 2, 4 arms each, tall and rigid with honor-bound postures. They had agreed to this for status, for the chance to prove themselves. 3, golden eyes reflecting light like mirrors. They moved restlessly, pack instincts making them circle even while standing still. The door closed behind. She heard the lock click. Finally, said, the little human arrives. Walked forward. She stopped in the center of the circle. 9 beings surrounded her, each one larger than her, each one armed with natural weapons she did not have. She set down her on a nearby table. You have been running for weeks, continued, avoiding us, ignoring us, making us look foolish. He stepped closer. That ends tonight. Looked at each of them, slowly, carefully, the way a general surveys a battlefield, the way a hunter counts prey. They were confident, they breathed easily, muscles relaxed, they expected no resistance. They were tense. Honor demanded they participate, but something made them uneasy. Perhaps they sensed what they could not. They were excited. Pack hunters loved cornered prey. Their tongues licked their teeth in anticipation. What do you want? Asked quietly. Respect, growled. Submission. I want you to admit what you are, prey, weak, nothing. And if I refuse? Laughed, the sound echoed off the walls. Then we teach you, painfully. Nodded slowly, like she was considering his offer, like this was a negotiation. I'm going to give you one chance, she said. Her voice was soft, almost gentle. Walk away, unlock that door, leave this room, and we forget this happened. Silence followed her words, then laughter, all 9 of them laughing at the small human making threats. Walk away, wheezed. You are surrounded, alone, trapped, and you tell us to walk away. Yes. Why would we do that? Tilted her head. Because if you don't, I will hurt you. More laughter, louder now. They howled. They allowed themselves small smiles. Even the nervous energy in the room transformed into amusement. Hurt us? Spread his arms wide. Look at yourself. You are tiny, soft. You have no claws, no fangs, no armor. Your species survives by hiding and running. That is all you know. No, said, that is not all we know. The laughter faded slightly. Something in her tone had changed. The gentleness was gone. What remained was harder, colder, ancient. On Earth, she continued, everything tries to kill us. The weather, the water, the land, the creatures that walk and swim and fly. We are born into violence and we live surrounded by death. She rolled her shoulders, once, slowly, like she was loosening muscles that had been waiting to move. Your species evolved on peaceful worlds, worlds where you were the top predator, where nothing challenged you. You have never been prey, you have never known fear. Her eyes moved across them, counting, measuring, deciding. We have, every day, for 200,000 years. Smile faltered, pretty words, but words mean nothing here. You're right, stance shifted, slightly, her weight centered, her hands hung loose at her sides. Words mean nothing. They noticed first. Their instincts screamed warnings. This was not the posture of prey. This was something else, something their ancient memories recognized but could not name. What are you doing? One of them asked. Giving you a chance. Voice was flat now, empty of emotion. Last chance, walk away. Nobody moved. She waited 3 heartbeats, counting. On Earth you always counted. Time was distance. Distance was survival. Okay, she said. She stopped smiling. The room felt different suddenly. The air itself seemed heavier. The lights seemed dimmer. And in the center of it all stood a small human girl who no longer looked small. Roared and charged. His 4 companions followed. They moved from the sides. They circled behind. 9 predators attacking 1 prey. Except she was not prey. Moved. Outside ran through the corridors, followed close behind. They had waited the 10 minutes. They had alerted security. Now they raced toward Recreation Room 4. Faster, said, her mandibles clicked rapidly. We need to be faster. What exactly did the files say about humans? asked as they ran. "Do not corner them, do not restrict movement, do not hunt." His voice was tight. "And one more thing." "What?" "When threatened, humans do not become afraid. They become dangerous." They reached the door, locked, entered his override code. Security was coming, but they were still minutes away. The lock clicked open, pushed the door wide, and stopped. The room was silent. 9 bodies lay on the floor, some groaning, some still, all of them down. In the center stood, breathing calmly, a small bruise forming on her cheek, her uniform slightly torn at the shoulder. She looked at them. "You're late," she said. Behind, instructor arrived with security. He pushed through and entered the room. His compound eyes scanned the scene. 9 elite cadets, all defeated. 1 human standing. "What happened here?" he asked. Picked up her from the table, she checked the screen, looked up. "They surrounded me," she said simply. "I resolved the situation." The room remained silent, the kind of silence that follows the end of something and the beginning of something else. Stared at her, at the bodies, at her again. For the first time in his long career, he understood why the Confederacy files carried warnings about humans. Not because they were strong. Because you could never tell until it was too late. The security footage was reviewed 17 times. Instructor watched it alone first, then with the security chief, then with the academy director, then with military advisors who had traveled from the Confederacy Central Command specifically for this. They watched it in silence every time. 6 seconds, that was all it took. 6 seconds from the moment charged to the moment the last body hit the floor. The footage began with standing in the center, 9 opponents surrounding her. His roar was visible even without sound, his massive body launching forward like a missile of scale and muscle. And then she moved. Not backward, not sideways, forward directly at. Later, analysts would slow the footage to frame by frame. They would write papers about what happened, but in real time it looked like magic, like reality itself had glitched. Reached for her, his claws passed through empty space. She was already beneath his guard, inside his reach, where his size became weakness instead of strength. Her palm struck his throat, not hard enough to kill, hard enough to collapse his airway temporarily. His roar became a choke. His legs gave out. 1 second. The 2 beside reacted. They swung massive arms toward her, but she was already moving, using his falling body as a barrier. They hit each other instead. Their own strength worked against them. 2 seconds. They attacked from both sides, 4 arms each, 8 limbs reaching for one small human. She dropped low, spun. Her leg swept the knee of the first. He crashed into the second. They tangled together, honor-bound pride preventing them from pushing each other away. 3 seconds. The remaining 2 had recovered from their initial confusion. They came together, coordinating their attack. Smart, but had watched them for weeks. She knew their patterns, knew that when one moved left, the other always moved right. She darted between them, used their momentum to send them crashing into the fallen pile. 4 bodies now struggling on the ground. 4 seconds. The pack hunters, the most dangerous because they worked together. They had spread out during the chaos, waiting for their moment. Now they struck as one. But pack hunters have a weakness. They follow the alpha. When the alpha hesitates, they all hesitate. When the alpha falls, they lose coordination. Identified the alpha in the first second of the fight, the largest, the one whose eyes the others watched. She had noted him weeks ago in the dining hall. She moved toward him specifically. Her knee drove into his midsection. He doubled over. The other 2 froze for a fraction of a second. A fraction was enough. 5 seconds. She was among them now. Close quarters, where their numbers meant nothing, where their size was a disadvantage. Elbows and palms and precise strikes to nerve clusters she had memorized from Earth's martial arts. The second fell. The third tried to flee. Her hand caught his collar. She redirected his momentum. He slammed into the wall. 6 seconds. 9 bodies on the floor. Stood in the center, breathing slightly faster than normal, a bruise forming on her cheek where one lucky strike had landed, her uniform torn at the shoulder from a claw that missed its target by centimeters. She looked around the room, assessed the damage, confirmed no one would die. Then she picked up her. The security footage ended there, but the aftermath was recorded too. Arriving, his compound eyes widening, his mandibles clicking in a pattern that translated roughly to impossible. Security officers standing frozen in the doorway. And words captured clearly by the recording. They surrounded me. I resolved the situation. The Academy director was a named Prime. He had served the Confederacy for 40 years. He had seen wars. He had seen death. He had thought he understood violence. He did not understand this. How, he asked. It was the only word that made sense. The military advisor, an ancient who had studied combat for longer than most species lived, leaned forward. Her old eyes studied the frozen image of standing among fallen bodies. Efficiency, she said slowly. Every movement serves a purpose. No wasted energy, no hesitation. She identified weaknesses and exploited them in sequence. She paused. This is not natural ability. This is training, deep training, the kind that becomes instinct. She is 19 years old, said. How much training could she have? On Earth, the old clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. Humans begin survival training at birth. Their world does not allow otherwise. The director studied the footage again. She showed mercy. She could have killed them. Yes, the advisor nodded. That is perhaps the most concerning part. She controlled the violence precisely. She knew exactly how much force to use and when to stop. Her eyes met the director's. This human is not a fighter. She is a weapon that chooses not to kill. In the medical wing, regained consciousness slowly. His throat burned. His pride burned worse. He opened his yellow eyes and saw white walls, medical equipment, and beside his bed, a small human female sitting in a chair. He tried to speak. Pain stopped him. Don't try to talk, said. You'll heal in 2 days. The damage was not permanent. Stared at her, this creature who had destroyed him, who had defeated 9 warriors in 6 seconds. She looked so small, so soft. How was this possible? I could have killed you, she continued quietly. Any of you, all of you, I chose not to. She leaned forward slightly. On Earth, we have a concept called mercy. It means having the power to destroy something and choosing not to. It is not weakness, it is strength. Her dark eyes held his yellow ones. Remember this. I showed you mercy. Do not make me regret it. She stood. When you recover, we will be classmates again. We can be enemies or we can be nothing to each other. The choice is yours. She walked toward the door. But if you come for me again, I will not be as gentle. The door closed behind her. Lay in his bed. For the first time in his life, he understood fear, real fear, the kind that came from meeting something more dangerous than yourself. The footage leaked 3 hours later. No one knew how, perhaps a security officer with access, perhaps a curious cadet who hacked the system. The source did not matter, the result did. Every cadet on Horizon 7 watched it. Then the footage spread beyond the station. Other academies, military installations, diplomatic outposts, millions of beings across the Confederacy saw a small human girl defeat 9 elite warriors in 6 seconds. The reactions varied. Some species felt fear. They had always dismissed humans as fragile oddities from a harsh world. Now they reconsidered. Some felt fascination. The footage was studied, analyzed, broken down into teaching materials. Combat instructors used it to demonstrate efficiency and threat assessment. Some felt respect, the especially. They valued martial prowess above all else. This human had defeated 2 of their warriors without killing them. She had earned acknowledgement. On Earth, the footage reached human news networks within hours. Girl shows Galaxy what humans can do, read one headline. Daughter, read another. Mother received a call from Confederacy officials. They wanted to know about her daughter's background, her training, her temperament. Her mother, a woman who had raised alone after her father was taken by the sea, answered simply. She grew up by the ocean. Everything there either teaches you to survive or kills you. She paused. My daughter survived. Back on Horizon 7, sat in her dormitory, sat across from her. Neither spoke for a long time. Finally broke the silence. The files were correct, about humans. Yes. You knew you would win, before you entered that room. Considered the question. I knew I would survive, winning was secondary. How can survival be more important than winning? Looked at her. For a moment, something ancient showed in her eyes, something that had watched predators circle in the darkness, something that had counted heartbeats while waiting for the right moment to strike. On Earth, she said quietly, we do not fight to win, we fight to live. Everything else is just details. Nodded slowly. She wrote something on her, notes for her paper on human psychology, notes that would eventually become required reading at academies across the Confederacy. One more question, she said. Yes. Were you afraid at any point? Thought about it, really thought, searching her memories of those 6 seconds, the clarity, the focus, the absolute certainty of movement. No, she said finally. Fear is useful before a fight, it helps you prepare. But during, she shook her head. During there is only action, fear would slow me down. Stared at her. That is terrifying, she said honestly. Almost smiled. I know. 1 week after the incident, Academy Station Horizon 7 had changed. The change was subtle at first. Cadets who had ignored humans now nodded in passing. Instructors who had dismissed human capabilities revised their lectures. Species who had considered Earth a curiosity now studied it with serious attention. But the biggest change was in how they looked at. She still ate alone. She still walked quietly through corridors. She still gave short answers in class. But now when she passed, beings stepped aside. Not from fear. Not exactly. It was more like respect. The kind given to a storm that could destroy you but chose not to. Published her paper, Of Terran Humans, Why Category 9 May Be Insufficient. It spread quickly through academic circles. Other researchers cited it. Debate erupted about how to classify Earth's inhabitants. Some argued for Category 10, the highest level. Others proposed creating a new category entirely, humans' existing frameworks. They were not apex predators in the traditional sense. They were something else, something the Confederacy had never encountered. The review board cleared of all charges on the 4th day. Security footage clearly showed self-defense. 9 armed cadets had surrounded her. She had given them opportunities to leave. She had warned them. When they attacked, she defended herself. The board's final statement was brief. Cadet acted within acceptable parameters of personal protection. No disciplinary action required. And his group faced harsher judgment. Conspiracy to commit assault, unauthorized locking of station facilities, threatening behavior toward a fellow cadet. Their family's influence reduced their punishment, but it could not eliminate it. Was suspended for 3 months. His companions received various penalties. Their reputations, already damaged by the footage, suffered further. But something unexpected happened on the 5th day. Was walking to the observation deck when she found blocking her path one of the who had attacked her. He stood rigid, all 4 arms at his sides, his posture formal. She stopped, waited. I have come to speak, said. His voice was stiff. Pride warred with something else in his tone. Then speak. He struggled for a moment. Finding words was not easy for a being who expressed himself through action. You defeated me in combat, this is fact. My honor demands acknowledgement. He lowered his head, a deep bow, a sign of profound respect among his people. But you also spared me. You had opportunity to kill. You chose not to. This is more than victory. This is wisdom. Studied him. Why are you telling me this? Because I misjudged you. I followed because I believed you were weak. I believed hurting you would bring status. He straightened. I was wrong, and my people believe that admitting wrongness is strength, not weakness. What do you want from me? Hesitated. Nothing. I want nothing. I simply wanted you to know that I understand now. Humans are not what we believed. He paused. And I apologize for the attack, for my assumptions, for my blindness. Was silent for a long moment. The corridor was empty except for them. Two beings who had fought days ago now standing in peace. On Earth, she said finally, we have a saying. The strongest person in the room is the one who does not need to prove it. She met his eyes. You came here to acknowledge your mistake. That took courage. That took strength. Nodded slowly. Understanding passed between them. We will not be enemies, continued. We do not need to be friends, but we can respect each other. That is enough. That is enough, agreed. He bowed again, then he walked away. Found her on the observation deck that evening. She stood where she always stood, watching stars drift past the viewport. He joined her in silence. You know you've changed things, he said after a while. Things were going to change eventually. Maybe, but you accelerated it. He leaned against the viewport rail. The Confederacy is sending more observers. Earth is getting increased attention. Human representation in academies across the galaxy is being expanded. Did not respond. They're scared of us now, continued. Not terrified, but cautious. They look at humans differently. Is that good? He considered the question. I don't know. Fear can lead to respect. It can also lead to conflict. He turned to look at her. What do you think? Watched a distant star. A sun she would never visit, orbited by worlds she would never walk. I think they were always going to learn eventually. We cannot hide what we are. What Earth made us. She paused. Better they learn from a demonstration that ends in bruises than from a war that ends in death. That's pragmatic. That's human. Smiled slightly. I suppose it is. New cadets arrived at the station 3 days later. Among them were 7 humans, more than any previous class. Earth had started sending more representatives since the footage spread. Watched them from the observation gallery above the arrival hall. They looked nervous, excited, young in a way she no longer felt. A cadet approached one of the humans, young, smaller than curious rather than aggressive. Are you really from the asked. The human, a girl with bright eyes and brown hair, nodded. Earth, yes. Is it true what they say, that everything there tries to kill you? The girl laughed. Not everything, just most things. The looked uncertain. Are you dangerous? The girl considered the question. Her eyes drifted up to the gallery. By chance or intention she spotted watching. Something passed between them. Recognition. Understanding. Only if we have to be, the girl answered. In the dining hall that evening, sat at her usual table, but she was not alone. Sat across from her, ready, always curious. Joined them, bringing medical gossip and warm smiles. Even appeared, pulling up a chair with awkward politeness, honoring his new respect through presence. They talked about small things, classes, instructors, the food which everyone agreed was terrible, normal conversation, the kind had not experienced since leaving Earth. She found herself almost relaxing. At a nearby table, the new human cadets sat together. They watched with something like wonder. The girl who had shown the galaxy what humans could be. This daughter. One of them, a young man with nervous hands, approached their table. Excuse me, he said. You're right, the one from the footage. Looked up, yes. I just wanted to say, thank you. I know that sounds strange, but before you they didn't take us seriously. Now they do," he swallowed. "You made them see us." Studied him, he was young, scared, far from home on a station full of aliens who could crush him. "What's your name?" she asked. "Minyu." "Minyu, where are you from?" "Seoul, the old capital district." Nodded. "Seoul is good, strong history." She gestured to an empty chair. "Sit, eat. You'll need your strength here." Minyu sat, slowly, like he expected to be thrown out at any moment. When it didn't happen, he relaxed. More humans drifted over. Then aliens. Curious species drawn by the growing group, by the laughter, by the small human girl at the center who had defeated 9 warriors and now sat peacefully eating terrible cafeteria food. The dining hall filled with conversation, species mixing, boundaries blurring, not because fear forced them together but because respect created space for connection. Later that night, asked one final question. Was it worth it, the fight, the attention, the change? Thought about it. About and the ocean, about Earth and its endless dangers, about all the humans who had lived and died on a world that never stopped trying to kill them. On Earth, she said, we have survived everything. Ice ages, plagues, predators, wars, natural disasters. We survived because we adapted, because we never gave up, because when the world pushed us, we pushed back. She looked around the room, at the diverse beings gathered together, at the futures being built with each new connection. The Confederacy thought we were survivors, prey that got lucky. They needed to understand the truth. She met's eyes. We are not survivors because we ran from danger. We are survivors because we faced it, again and again, and we are still here. Recorded her words, for history, for the future. What is the truth? She asked. Smiled, soft, genuine, the smile of a girl who had grown up by the ocean and learned its lessons well. The truth is simple. Humans are not dangerous because of what we can do. She paused, letting the words settle. We are dangerous because of what we choose not to do. We could be monsters. We could conquer and destroy and dominate. We have the capability. She looked out the window at the stars. But we choose differently. We choose connection, community, peace when possible. Her voice grew quiet. That choice is our greatest strength and our greatest gift. Outside, the stars continued their eternal dance. Worlds spun, species rose and fell. The galaxy moved forward in its ancient rhythm. And somewhere in the vastness of space, a small station held beings from 100 worlds learning to understand each other. Learning that strength was not just power, that danger was not just violence, that the smallest creatures could carry the greatest lessons. The had sent its daughter, and through her, the galaxy learned what it meant to be human.